Nigeria's security crisis has become increasingly complex, with armed groups and non-state actors exploiting the state's limited coverage and influence. This includes Boko Haram's resurgence in the northeast, armed gangs in the north-central and northwest, cessationist violence in the southeast, and gang-related issues in the southwest. Amidst these diverse security threats, widespread kidnap or ransom has emerged as a common thread.
Now, according to SBM intelligence, no fewer than 7,568 people were abducted in 1,130 incidents across the country between July 2023 and June 2024. Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun has assured Nigerians that all citizens held captive will be safely rescued. This comes after the successful rescue of 20 medical students and 7 others. Joining us is security expert, the program director at Clean Foundation, Salaudeen Hashim. Good morning, and thanks for joining us.
Good morning, and thank you very much for having me.
All right. I mean, from the SBM report, it seems like we haven't really improved much in the last 1 year. Zamfara, of course, is the state with the most number of kidnap incidents, 132. Number of kidnap victims, 1,639. Number of civilian deaths, 146. And of course, Bayelsa State with the least number of incidents. What can you tell us as to what may be, causing this surge in kidnapping incidents?
All right, thank you very much. I think the very first thing that really comes to mind is the fact that the issue of security is interactive. And what is interactive about it is that there are also underlying causes that actually fuels conversation around areas and regions where threats are becoming very palpable. And of course, you see Zamfara coming highest, and then of course Bayelsa coming low. And that is because the issue of, you can trace to this very quickly, is around poverty index. And okay, again, there are always a lot of conversation as to how citizens survive in areas where coercive poverty and economic recession has actually hit them hard. And because the traceable index and of course indicator to all of these tells you that in areas where you have less economic activities and then of course some kind of absence of grievance mechanism, opportunities are there that you will find a surge and an increase. If you check the entire demography of states with human capital deficit, Zamfara would come top, and that therefore tells you the connection between security and economy. And again, because again, the National Security Strategy, who for the first time has actually come out to propose that there should be some level of non-kinetic response to the issue of insecurity, has also not been implemented in any quarter whatsoever. And that document, for the first time, went further to say, look, it is not enough to roll out tank at every incident to confront every form of threat, that sometimes the states also need to recognize this. And for the first time, the NSS document looked at the issue of economy, looked at the issue of job creation, looked at the issue of food security as some of the factors that can help to recede the emerging threats that is confronting a lot of society. But unfortunately, there is a lot of an elite capture of the society. The elite capture of the society has therefore created a little bit of a challenge in the implementation of the NSS document, which therefore has allowed the entire region to become very ungoverned. If you travel the belt of Zamfara in various locations, you will realize that there are areas where citizens are even unable to access. That is one. There are areas where citizens pay to be protected. They pay bandits to be protected. Two, there are areas where bandits offer and sell lands to locals to farm for them, and then of course harvest for them, and of course bring, because you cannot do otherwise, because again that is the only thing you can actually trade for your safety.
Still looking at our journey so far in a country that has criminalized payment of ransom. We have the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022. But if we look at the stats, between July 2023 and July 2024, kidnappers have demanded at least the sum of 10 billion naira as ransom, but received a little over 1 billion naira. A mere 9.5% of the money demanded, indicating that, kidnappers have become less targeted in their victimology. And this is a report by the SBM. But what are your thoughts, looking at how we fared when it comes to ransom, collection of ransom, and the fact that it's criminalized in our country?
Yeah, I think it is the right way to go, but it is only the right way to go when the state has taken the responsibility to protect. But when the state has not taken the responsibility to protect and has not put in place infrastructure for safeguarding and has not also ensured that even when you are taking, that they put every mechanism for response to ensure that you are actually brought back. Therefore, I think families will be hesitant to want to respond to that. And the flip side to this is that if you go to local areas and you find the kind of suffering, look, the Terrorism Prevention Act itself has some level of deficiencies. And of course, that is perhaps a conversation for another time, because there are quite a number of provisions that are vague, nebulous, and some of them are a little bit not in tandem with the reality that we have. And that is the challenge with policymaking. Policymaking should actually review some level of what is happening, and of course have a peep into the future, so that at least you can know that you are not only making the policy for the now, but you are making a policy that is sustainable, and therefore people can relate with them. Because again, there is no intelligence that is effective enough for citizens to actually be taken and returned in the event that this happened. When the children were taken in Kaduna, we all knew that there were also back channel conversation. And then, of course, because we are privy to some of those information that actually went down in terms of ensuring that those children were rescued. Everywhere in the world, people actually negotiate. So what the term were used for negotiating is sometimes differ. And of course, it differ from state to state. But entirely prohibiting it to a large extent is good, because again it reduces that particular economy, because again it became industrial, it went to a large scale. It will reduce it, which is very good, but again the state must also improve the infrastructure to ensure that safeguarding citizens is also something that is top-notch, and ensuring that it is not only something that should be taught, but again it is something that should actually be responsible. And that is on the one side. Two is that if you check the entire belt in the Northwest, you will realize that the issue that is confronting the region is traceable, and it is traceable to poverty and economy, and which was why I said it is very interactive. First quarter 2023.
Can we blame poverty alone?
Nigerians.
Is poverty a good enough excuse? And in the news, we see the IGP, Kayode Egbetokun, talking tough about how everyone who's kidnapped will be rescued. But what we're seeing here is that there seems to be a surge in these numbers. It means, and not just a surge in the numbers, we even see these bandits and these kidnappers on social media posting videos of monies that they've received from victims. Means that they don't even have any fears that they will be arrested. They're not scared. They're not hiding. They're not in any way bothered about being caught. So it means that we obviously are in a worse case than we were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. Even with the big words that are being said by Kayode Egbetokun, and of course with the current government.
Well, it's the audacity that actually gets me quite worried. But again, the issue of talking tough and rescuing Nigerians in captivity is not sloganeering. It is not to sloganeer about it. It is actually to put some mechanisms in place to be able to get that done. And my question would be, what are those things that we have on ground to be able to do that? I doubt if we have any. What what were the strategy that we have. Again, yes, for purposes of national security, they may not want to divulge what their plans are to do that. But again, to be very honest, we have had plenty of slogans in this regard, and we know that nothing has actually been put to be able to ensure that these things are actually thoroughly implemented. Intelligence gathering is fundamental. If your intelligence community is faulty, it therefore means that your response mechanism will be a major challenge. Second is the issue of personnel. Your personnel actually redistributed to VIPs. Okay, if you check the nominal role of security stakeholders or security agencies, half of them are actually attached to VIPs and the political elites and all of the private sectors, and therefore has left the vast majority of Nigerians vulnerable to this. And these guys know, and they know too well that look, no matter how much you talk tough, that they have some level of safeguarding, because they also tell you that look, they're even more equipped than even the state itself, so they can tell you that. And the third side is the issue of connivance. There are conversations, there are also concerns about how security stakeholders also connive with these guys in different ways. And again, we have various examples to be able to buttress this. And the question about vetting in security balance, which allows the institution itself to vet its personnel and constantly follow up with them. In Kafancha, in Kaduna, we have seen a police officer who killed his colleague and sold his AK-47 to bandits for 300,000. I can go on and on with various examples, but again, because we're on air, it is very good to actually be a little bit circumspect. And this in itself tells you very clearly that the state security itself is not completely immune from some of the audacity that you see these guys exhibiting, because they have some of them on their payrolls, and they'll have some of them who give them intelligence and information, and they have, so it is not like these guys are a little bit completely isolated from, they have some back channel where they source information from. And I think this is where we're a little bit worried from. And on the flip side is that some of these guys also, over election period, are also foot soldiers to some political guys.
And you know what, that perspective you've raised, I can completely agree with, because we've had a number of Nigerians talking about it and how, these people are people that were used as tools during the election to inflict violence. And then the thing that my colleague would say is, once you start this tap, you can't really stop it completely. But the DIA and the DSS the NIA and the DSS have new heads. So we're expectant to see some positive improvement. Hopefully when we have you join us again, we'll have some positive outlook in the area of security in Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us, Salaudeen Hashim. To have a wonderful day and see you around soon, hopefully with some good news.
Thank you very much for having me.